Oh, okay, bye. I'm standing.
Norm Smith arriving with a snowy owl, Plum Island, which he's going to release into the wild.
Norman's been working with the snowy owls for like 30 years. And he has been finding this refuge too to help provide you folks with a little opportunity to get to see an owl. So if you can get in hearing distance, he's going to speak to you about the owls, and you can learn a little bit and watch one fly away. So welcome Norman Smith. How many people want to see a snowy owl? Me. How many people have seen snowy owls? Yeah. Why are they here? They're hungry. Why are they hungry?
No food.
There's no lemmings in the Arctic, so snowy owls are coming here to Massachusetts because there's no food. Guess what? That's not true. Why are they here? They're here because it was an incredible breeding year for snowy owls in the Arctic. In northern Quebec this year, snowy owls nested all over the place, and in one nest, there's a guy, Jean-Francois, who's been doing research in Canada, and in one nest alone, he sent me a picture of a nest that had 70 lemmings and 8 voles in one nest that weren't even eaten yet. So it was an incredible year. And when you think about it, the historic literature is able to get a good chance to...
Norm Smith about to release snowy owl, Plum Island.
So, here we have a snowy owl that was just captured at Logan Airport. If you look at this bird, you can see the eyes on this bird, how impressive they are. Look at those feathers around the face. You'll notice that the bird has a little blue spot on the back of his head. That's a color mark, so we can identify this as one of the birds that we actually released. Now, if you look at this bird, what is this? This is a male for 29 days. We knew the bird was still alive because the temperature sensor, things were in good shape, but we were concerned because the motion sensor showed that the bird hadn't moved. We had another bird that was in the same exact location, again, another female that hadn't moved for 31 days. And the incubation period for snowy owl eggs is 28 to 32 days, and the female does all the incubating. So these were females that were on nests. So not only do we know they make it back to the Arctic, but we also know that they are viable breeders. So when you read all this historic literature on snowy owls that these people have written over the years, Alfred Gross, great ornithologist, but he didn't have a clue about what was happening with snowy owls. And in reality, these birds do make it back to the Arctic. They're viable breeders. You'll hear people today, snowy owls are here because there's a problem in the Arctic. That's why they're leaving the Arctic. Well, nobody knows that there's a problem in the Arctic, and if in fact there was, why are only the young birds moving? If there was something in the Arctic that was causing a major issue for snowy owls, we'd be seeing many more snowy owls than we see this winter, and we'd be seeing adult birds as well. So, to date, we've captured 115 snowy owls in Massachusetts. We've removed 88 snowy owls from Logan Airport this winter.
Wow.
Now, the most we've ever captured before in 1 year, in a whole season, is 43 owls. Wow. So that puts it in perspective how big of a year this is. This could be the biggest incursion of snowy owls in the past 100 years. Certainly the last big incursion was in 1926-27, when they thought there was 1,000 snowy owls in New England and maybe 300 in Massachusetts. In Massachusetts this winter, we probably figure there's probably been at least 500 snowy owls that have come through here. They're as far south as Florida, Bermuda, there's one in Baton Rouge, Louisiana right now. So these birds travel tremendous distances. Why? Because they get pushed out. The more dominant birds stay further north. The adults, they chase the younger birds off, and the first birds you usually see are young males, because they're the smallest and the most inferior birds, and they get driven the further south. In years when the old man goes out to catch lemmings and he comes back with nothing, she says, pal, there'll be no funny business this year, and they don't breed. So snowy owls only breed when there's adequate food in the Arctic. breed, what happens is people think the food dries up so the snowy owls have to come south. Well, it's kind of interesting because when we started this project, we thought that that was the case as well. And we had snowy owls that we captured, and they were all in good body weight and good condition. And it was my 10-year-old daughter who said to me, "Think about this for a second, Dad. You mean to tell me that these snowy owls are flying 1,500 to 3,000 miles because there's no food in the Arctic? And number one, they're getting here? They'd be dead long before they reached Massachusetts. Number one. Number two, they're mostly young birds. And didn't you say snowy owls only breed when there's food in the Arctic? And that's certainly true as well. So what we did is we actually put satellite transmitters on snowy owls starting in 1999 and tracked snowy owls. What was interesting is out of the first 12 transmitters we put on snowy owls, 3 of those birds were shot in Massachusetts before they got a chance to leave. Something we never expected. Something that we realized we had to do more education about. We would have never known those snowy owls were shot unless they had transmitters on them. Because the transmitters were telling us, because they have a motion sensor and a temperature sensor, that those birds hadn't moved in 5 days and their temperature went from 100+ degrees to 35 degrees, so we knew there was a problem. So we went down, the first bird was at Race Point. We went down and collected the bird, brought it out to Tufts Veterinary Clinic, because satellite transmitters had never been put on owls before. And we wanted to be sure that those transmitters weren't impacting or impeding those birds.